Welcome everyone to Grape Finance Weekly AMA. Of course, as always, LB is here. Welcome, LB.
Hey, good to be, guys, as always.
Yeah, and the questions that have been asked in the AMA Weekly Questions channel are going to be read out by me and see if we can answer them. And if you have a live question or something comes up or you want the mic or whatever, then go to the AMA live chat, which is under Grapes and Wine in the Discord, and tell me your question. And if you want the mic, also please tell me your Zoom name so I can give you the mic. But first, let's go to the planned questions. And we start with Ashen to Ashes, who asks, "Are we going to make wine notes as well?" I don't think so, man. I don't think we're going to make wine notes. Yeah. So they're here. We can skip this one. Um, Felix asks, "For whoever from the team is on the call, that's going to be us. What kind of work do you do outside of crypto? And what's new about working on Grape versus doing that? And would you recommend the industry?" So, do you want to go first or second?
Will you go first? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So, actually, for quite some while, I've been a registered nurse. Started doing that in the army, like in 2010, somewhere. I joined the army, maybe a little bit earlier. No, 2010. Then became a sergeant, then became a medical sergeant, so a registered nurse, and then went all the way from all kinds of hospitals to all kinds of elderly care to psychiatric care. And now the most recent job that I'm still in for a little while longer is recovery for youth. So children aged 12 to 22 somehow. Usually the youngest are about 14, 15, so not really 12, but who have substance addiction or sometimes internet addiction or screen addiction. And that's actually really nice working in a clinic for that, and being a mentor sort of to the kids, and a daily coach. And I actually do think that's the nicest thing I've ever done in my whole nursing career. It's a beautiful place to work. But since mm, the end of January somewhere, DeFi has really started encroaching upon my life. Like I turned from an investor to actually becoming part of a team with Grape Finance, and that got me into more and more and more work. And now I'm up to a point where there's so much DeFi work that I don't really have time to go to the clinic and work my other job anymore. And as such, I've resigned. But because of my permanent contract, it still takes me a few months to actually resign. So I'm contract bound to just continue for a bit. However, after this 2 week vacation that I've just been talking about, um, uh, but that's not going to be on record. Anyway, I'm going to Egypt. It's going to be nice. After this 2 week vacation, I have about 1 more month that I still have to work at the clinic, and then it's going to be DeFi full time. So that takes us to the second question, like, would you recommend the industry? Well, if you really like it, only then, because it's 24/7. It's all the time. You wake up with it, you go to bed with it, and you can pace yourself and make sure that you have, a few hours in between, or maybe even 8 or 10 sometimes if you plan it well. But you have no weekends, and it's just always there, and you need to be available at least once or twice a day, and that's on your off days. And if you're working, you're just there all the time. So you need to love it, and you need to like it, and there's a whole lot of reading up to do, a whole lot of learning. But if you're willing to put in the effort, yeah, then sure, just go for it. It's beautiful. So that's my take on it. LB, what's yours?
Yeah, well, I guess before, right now I'm like, full-time, um, full-time this essentially, full-time DeFi, just because it's not really possible to do anything else. Um, as you mentioned, it's really, it is 24/7. You need to be available all the time because, and as well, the space moves so fast that you need to keep up. And the only way to keep up is to be around all the time. Um, so yeah, I guess in other words, you have to actually really like the industry. You have to like the space. You have to like the the idea of the whole thing. And I think I do. I mean that's why I'm here anyways, because I really like the whole. I think it's the cutting edge of technology. I think it's the cutting edge of uh, fintech essentially. And I really like. I've always kind of liked finance. I've always kind of liked technology. So they're two things that essentially that's exactly what DeFi is. And as well, I've always liked I guess the idea of decentralization. You taking ownership for your own finances. You owning uh, your own. Yeah, you essentially being your own bank. I've never really liked the bank, so to say. I've never really liked the I guess some of the things that the banks do, they take advantage of people here and there. So, I like that in this space, at least, it gives some power back to the people so that you can, use platforms yourself. Like you have full control over your wallet, so to say. Like you can use this platform if you want. You can use that platform if you want. Like you want to take out a loan, you don't have to go through 15 hours of paperwork. You don't have to get 30 references. They don't have to look at your entire employment history and then still deny you, a loan that they're going to charge you 5-10% interest on anyway. So, this is why I really like the space, is because um it gives power back to the people. Like you don't need permission to use your funds. You don't need permission to get a loan or anything like that. As an example, you don't need permission to trade this token or whatever. It's uh it's really cool. I think so. That's why
It
I
feels really liberating as well,
yeah
to
yeah
me
that's
personally. Yeah, I just, if I decide that I want to go to a certain platform and invest in it, I can just do that. I don't have to subscribe
exactly.
to anything or whatever, or ask
And
if I can
yeah,
please, put my money somewhere. You can just
please,
go there,
yeah.
do it.
That's
It's
that's
beautiful.
exactly it. Yeah. I don't have to KYC. I don't have to like be approved. It's
Yeah.
I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And
Just
that's
your wallet.
yeah, exactly. So that's why that's one of the main things I really like about this space. And obviously, the technology is, I guess, cutting edge in fintech, in the fintech space. And
Yeah.
I like finance, I like technology, and then I like the aspect of you know, I guess the freedom you get from it. So that's why I really like the space.
Yeah,
But
and I think that you always inspire actually, but now your answer also inspired me to say a bit more. I wouldn't, of course, I would not be community manager if it weren't the community that also inspires me. Like, it's really beautiful to see how a lot of people just come together and make a new financial standard. Um,
yeah.
between themselves instead of have the banks being top down and telling us how things
Mm,
are going to be done,
yeah,
or
yeah.
for example having the futures and derivatives market for example.
Mm,
I mean, Grape Finance is not necessarily in that, but Pendle Finance for example is.
mm,
And the futures and derivatives market was something when I was, a few years ago, I would have said, yeah, that's for those financial guys, with the blue
mm.
shirts and the ties, and they will know about that. But I actually got to play around with that myself and understand it for myself, like what is a future underlying asset, what is a derivative actually, and that makes it so personal and so it actually got me to enjoy working with money, which,
Mm.
I'm a people's person. I never really enjoyed money, but now I do because it's fun.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Like in a lot of in the traditional finance space, you have uh you know I guess uh gatekeepers, so to say, where a lot of things you can't invest in unless you're an accredited investor, and that depends on, or you have a license to do so. And usually, that license requires, either you work for a large bank, an investment bank or something like that, and you go through some sort of course, and then pay some large fees, obviously. And then an accredited investor usually gets access to, like, the best deals, obviously, like the cheapest, so to say, IPOs, the higher risk investments, which usually always have the highest possible returns, obviously, because they're the highest risk. But usually those things are barred behind accredited investor laws, or accredited investor access, which means depending on where you are, the requirements are different, but it's usually you need to have quite a bit of money around to be classified as a accredited investor. So that obviously means that, if you're rich, well, you get access to the most lucrative deals. And then if you're poor, you don't get access to that. Whereas
Yeah.
with in crypto, anyone, everybody gets access to the same deals, essentially. Obviously, there's some inside deals and whatever, but at the same time, anyone can make those deals. Anyone can start a project. Anyone can you know get on a whitelist for a pre-sale or something like that, and get a special deal, for instance. Whereas, if you were going to get a deal on a IPO in the real stock market, you would need generally to be an accredited investor. So you would never get that deal. So that's like another thing that is, I guess, part of that
Where the
financial
enthusiasm
liberation.
comes from
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
also true.
Yeah. Okay, great. That was a beautiful question, by the way. I loved it. Tao, I'm gonna skip that. Death Parade too. Um, Aspacelli, they ask on the node creation. I've only a couple nodes, one wine and one grape, and intend to create LP from any profit gained rather than compound. This would mean that once a node ends, I would not be receiving NFT rewards. Or put another way, is it only for an active node that NFT rewards are received?
Yes, yes. Only for active nodes at this time. That may, depending on how we go, it may change. If we want to incentivize nodes a bit more, we may change it to be like every month you need to have created a node. I'm also thinking about that. But at this time, it is you need an active node, which essentially means that you created it this month anyway, because we just launched it this month. So yeah, you need an active node, which means it hasn't reached its max payout, I guess, so to say, its
Yeah.
max limit.
So I'm sorry, Aspacelli, when your nodes end, you have to create two new ones. Like one new wine one new grape one, and then we can move on. Okay, cool. And also, by the way, thank you for creating a lot of LP, because that is
Yeah, that's
just
very important.
wonderful for the project. So, not saying you're doing anything wrong. You're a great guy. Move on to Saint says how to incentivize providing liquidity outside of what is done by purchasing nodes. LP nodes next. And if so, what would make an LP node more attractive than the single token node?
Yeah, so with incentivizing LPs, obviously the main thing is the vineyard. At the moment, you get over 1% there daily, and you don't have to pay. I guess, like, there's no sunk cost, so to say. The original plan was to make LP nodes as well. However, I need to I guess we need to I'm just gonna, I guess, monitor how these two nodes go at the moment, because essentially we're achieving almost the same goal, really, where the treasury portion, the treasury cut from the nodes, is already being used to make LPs from the grape and the wine. I've already made, I guess, quite a bit of LP from that. I've already made, I think, about 20K of the wine MIM LP, which the protocol owns essentially. So that's a good way for the protocol to own that liquidity itself. So in other words, we're already incentivizing the LP creation through the nodes as they are right now. It's just that the DAO is the one that's creating the nodes, creating the LPs from the treasury cut of the nodes, which in turn then means it's protocol owned liquidity, which means that, okay, well, the DAO is not going to split the LP and then sell the token unless it's beneficial for the protocol, which would be below the peg, so to say. We split some of the LP to buy back and burn, but that was always part of the strategy anyway. But increasing the liquidity is already being done through the nodes, just with the treasury allocation from the DAO. I was thinking about doing the LP nodes, but as well, with the wine price increasing, we actually have a reasonable return in the vineyard already, to the point where you will only get maybe like 0.5% to 1% more in the nodes from the LP, but you would have to it's a sunk cost as well. So obviously, if there's a sunk cost, you would need a higher return to incentivize people to go into the nodes rather than the vineyard. So I do need to still monitor that. It may still be on the tables to do the LP nodes at some point in the future. But at the moment, I'm going to keep just the grape and the wine nodes because they seem to be doing the job really well of locking up the grape supply, locking up the wine supply, creating a use for wine as well, like a backup use. Essentially, if we fall below peg, there's already, you can actually still use wine and get 2% return on that. Whereas if we were below peg, usually when you go below peg, you see, all right, the share prices tank because there's no real use for the share anymore. But the wine node gives you a use for the share, some sort of reward, even below the peg. So that's a really good thing for to keep the share price higher, which then in turn makes the vineyard APRs higher as well. So and then that in turn incentivizes the LPs to add to the vineyard farm. So it's like a big cycle of incentivizing not selling wine, which then and also buying wine, which then increases the price of the wine, which then increases the APRs of the vineyard, which then increases the incentivization of LP creation because you get a reasonable return there. So in other words, it's actually doing the job already of increasing liquidity in the pool because the APRs are higher in the vineyard, and the DAO already gets a cut from the treasury, which then it also adds to the LP itself for protocol-owned liquidity. So it seems to be doing the job really well already. So I'm just going to monitor and keep an eye on it, obviously. And we can always add the LP nodes whenever, but I think for now we'll just leave it as it is. And I think as well, when we release a lending and borrowing system, I want to add a specific bonding system for LPs to bond their LPs and essentially receive another reward token on a premium for that. So as for a protocol owned liquidity in another way. So that I may leave that for that when we release that. But obviously we'll monitor how it goes from here.
Yeah, I think it's also beautiful how you say that it's sort of a cycle. It's sort of an upward spiral, right? We all know the downward spiral that protocols can get to. Like if
Yeah.
for example the share token tanks, then of course the rewards tank, and everybody's going to sell, and then it's going to fall on the peg, and then
Mm,
the reward share token tanks more, and but
yeah.
we seem to have the exact opposite going on right now. So our share token is going up because because of the nodes also, and the pack token is going up because of the nodes also, and because of general interest, and therefore it seems therefore of course the rewards are higher, and then we have this upwards going spiral, and if we just can keep that going up, or at least getting staying stable as it is now for the
Mm,
last few days. Um, that's yeah, that would definitely keep us in a good spot,
mm,
and
yeah.
being very profitable for everyone, I would say.
Mm.
Anyway, Ashen to Ashes says, since a percentage of the revenue from the nodes is used to create new LP tokens, do you think it still makes sense to implement other ways to generate protocol-owned liquidity?
Well, I mean, I guess this is kind of like the similar to the answer I gave before, but
Yeah,
at the moment, um, they seem to be doing their job, like
yeah. So not right
the
now.
yeah, yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's a good answer. I just wanted to give it like because it was a slightly different angle. But
Yeah.
um Fizzle asks, is it possible for wine node payout demand to outpace the planned emission rate of wine over the 370 days? I would assume node rates would be aligned so that the 370 target was kept. I'm trying to read this sentence again, but maybe you get it at once.
Um, Obviously, to make a node, there needs to be wine available for you to make that node. So, as well, I think I mean, if you look at other node projects, a lot of node projects have fixed supply tokens and they sell them in a pre-sale so that all the tokens essentially exist from day one. Um, essentially, the supply of the token it doesn't really matter for the nodes, because in other words, even if everybody was to create an used to even if everybody used all of the supply of the token on the same day to create nodes, so there was no more supply that you could buy to create nodes, which seems unlikely. It would make the price ridiculous as well. um, you would still get daily drip back, which then you would either compound or sell, whatever. But the point is that it still functions the same way. It takes 30, 35 days, 38 days to get a ROI on the node, and then about 180 to 190 days, I guess, depending on the APR, for a max payout, max possible payout on the nodes. So in that time, you're still getting the daily rewards, which are then compounded or, you know, sold essentially, which then other people can buy to make nodes as well. So the supply of the node, the supply of the token doesn't really matter at all for the nodes. Um, in saying that though, there is still, with our emissions, January next year is when the wine emissions in the vineyard stop, which won't affect the nodes. It will just affect the vineyard. We'll have to find a new way to incentivize the LPs there, which is not a problem. We'll sort that out through the other platforms that we release. But and as well, in the next sort of 200 days, there's still the vested wine from the DAO and the dev funds that get released. So there's like a constant supply of wine getting released daily anyway, and there's always a supply in available for sale because there's an LP where people can buy it. and sell it. So I mean, the supply of wine doesn't really affect the nodes at all, really. It would just like the price of the node would just increase or decrease depending on the demand of the nodes or demand of wine itself. So I don't think this is I don't think it's an issue because there's a 30-day drip rate for ROI on the nodes, and in that time, you know, multiple people have nodes, which then you either sell or you compound. Other people can buy nodes from the LP. You know, the LP always exists as well. So, and the DAO also is making LP as well, which can always be traded against to buy or sell wine, to make nodes, or whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or whatnot, but yeah. Oh wait, are you muted? I think.
I'm so sorry. I was muted. Yeah. I would just like to say that if it doesn't answer the question fully, you can go to the AMA live chat, which I will open as soon as I've gone through the regular questions, and then we can discuss it. And if you want the mic at all to ask some more questions, Fizzle, you're very welcome to. But first, I'll go through the rest of the questions, and then go get to that channel. Anyway, A and B, they ask, when the Grape nodes were introduced, the APR for the Grape staking pool was reduced. Where did the APR go? Another pool or somewhere else? And when the Grape MIM nodes are introduced, which will now maybe take a while, will the APR for the Grape MIM pool be reduced? If so, where will that APR go? Yeah, that's actually two different things, right? When the Grape nodes were introduced, yeah, the APR for the staking pool was reduced, but that didn't go to the nodes or anything. It went to the other
No. Yeah,
emissions.
it just went. I mean, it's something that we can, the share rewards pool, like the wine rewards pools, are a fixed amount of wine released per day, and that cannot be changed. That's hard coded in the contract. So in other words, what you do is you just like reallocate the weightings of each pool. And if we want to incentivize if we have the Grape nodes, then it makes sense that we don't really need the Grape single staking pool as much, so we can take some of that allocation that was going to that pool, and I moved it to the Grape MIM and the Wine MIM LPs to incentivize more the LP creation there. So and as well, it's something that we have to like manage a little bit here and there, because obviously it's dependent. The APRs are dependent on the wine price. The APRs are dependent on the TVLs of the pool, which is then also dependent on the prices of the tokens in the pool. And we had like over 200K or something in the Grape single stake, and I think over 100K has moved out of that pool now, and that's with the price increasing. So that's in terms of numbers of Grape, there would be even more. Then I've moved that to the Grape MIM, to the Wine MIM, and I still have to like adjust that pool a little bit lower as well to then give more to the LPs. But the LPs are actually not doing too badly. 1.5% on the Grape MIM, 1.5% on the Wine MIM, and the TVLs have technically like 1.3 million in the Grape MIM LP, which is fantastic. That's probably like one of the highest it's been for a very long time. And that's still at 1.45%. So and there's only 128K in the Grape single stake pool. So that's also good, because it means that it's more going to the nodes. It's something that we like manage often want to keep the LPs above 1% if possible, as much as possible. And the single stake, as it's not really needed as much now, keep it a little bit lower, but still offer it so that there's still an option for people that, you have your node, but you don't have 50 Grape in rewards, so that you can technically just park it in the single stake Grape for the time being. If you also don't want to add it to the LP, whatever, it's just like another option, to be honest. I like having options for people depending on what they want to do.
It's a parking location that works fine. Like,
Yeah.
great. Okay, cool. Then wait, what was I? Oh yeah. Sam asks, there's always a set amount of wine going to be rewarded in Vineyard. The way the emissions will last. Oh wait, that's the answer. Come on, Sam. I'm moving on. Tahoe is asking, do you know if the Grape BNB pool is permanent, or does it? I think does it leave, or does it go when the other staking pools end?
Yeah, so that's like I guess, I mean, the pool itself, like the LP itself, will always exist, because once you create the LP, you technically create a token on the blockchain, and you can't just delete a token on the blockchain. So the LP like always exists. But in terms of being incentivized for people to add to, that's something that we work with Dibs. This one at the moment is like an introductory, like for the next 30 days, technically like an experiment, really, for that we're working with Dibs, and they're working with other partners. They're working with several partners to make some sort of like essentially like a loop where they incentivize the LPs, our LPs, and other people's LPs, like they incentivize the EMP, LP, and then you earn D share, which then you can single stake to earn the partner token. So you can single stake to earn Grape, which then you can then loop it back into the LP. So it's kind of like it's a fun experiment to like loop your rewards, and also incentivize LP creation, because everybody else there is technically on Binance native, so they already have their own platforms where they do incentivize the LPs for their own with their own tokens there. Whereas we don't have one. We don't have a farm on Binance chain that incentivizes the Grape BNB LP. So this is technically like a way to incentivize that. At the moment, it's like earning over 1.5% daily, which isn't bad at all, really. We'll work with Dibs to see, like, I don't know if they're going to extend this offer. It was technically a 1 month experiment with the potential to keep it going if it works really well. It's technically up to them because it's their platform, whether or not they'll continue it on. But yeah, in terms of incentivizing it, it's at least going to run for the month, and then obviously if they extend it, then it's extended. But it's not really like I guess it's not hard coded like in our vineyard to be like, okay, for the next 12 months there will be wine rewards for that. So it's technically a different thing.
All right. Good. Oh, cat, be careful. Yeah, Saint asks, like, what is the date set for the first month's node or NFT rewards distribution? And any further clarification on if it's active nodes that month or nodes created that month that counts towards the share?
Yeah, so the original plan is on the month from the node's starting date. But because this first month, obviously, we have a lot of nodes created, and then there's quite a bit of grape in the reward pool and wine in the reward pool. So, to make sure that we don't like drop 40,000 grape in one day, which is quite a lot, we'll stagger it out. So I'm planning on doing probably the first drop this Monday. We'll take a snapshot on that day and then drop it out, drop a little bit out that day, and then probably midweek, and then Monday the following week, and then midweek, and then Monday the week after that. So I'll stagger it out for this next 2 weeks. So make sure you have your NFTs and your nodes created to be eligible for that. It is active nodes, so it is nodes that haven't reached max payout. That's the current requirement. Obviously, that would now be any node that has been created at any time at the moment, because no nodes should have reached max payout in the last week. It's not really possible. So that may change. At the moment, it is active nodes. So at the moment, it's not nodes created in the month. It's just active nodes that haven't reached max payout, but that may change to nodes that have been created that month specifically. But as I said, obviously, every node has been created this month, so it's irrelevant for this month, so to say.
All right. Thank you. I think a lot of people were wondering that, like, when will the NFT revenues come? Sam has actually the last question of this chat. I'm probably going to copy paste whatever came after and put it on the bottom of the live chat. Will the revenue generated from lending and borrowing be distributed among members of Grape Finance or even NFT holders, or the plan for now is the revenue to go to the DAO and then deciding what to do from there?
Yeah, it'll probably be like I want to do something like the plan is similar to Geist or Blizz, where you have a significant portion of the fees go to holders of the token. So obviously, for the lending and borrowing, there will be a separate token to reward lenders and borrowers, because I can't really do that very well with wine as well. We're quite stretched with the farm at the moment. So there'll be a different token, and then those token holders will earn a portion of the fees, but as well, a portion of the fees will be rewarded for wine holders as well, at least. The exact tokenomics will be worked out and, I guess, released closer to the date of the lending and borrowing platform release, but we will be rewarding original Grape Finance holders from the lending and borrowing as well.
Right. I'm sorry, I was also chatting, so I'll probably listen to the recording myself there. Anyway, then Tao also has a serious question. What can we expect between now and the time borrowing and lending is done? Like what can we see to keep people interested? So of course we're building the lending and borrowing platform. Everyone knows that, but in between that time, what's going to happen? That's their question.
People are really they really want something like every single day, don't they?
I know, right? Come on, man, give some
It's
time.
so hard. Like we need the thing is, like, this industry moves so fast, and it's hard to, like, when you develop something, you need to, like, actually sit down and develop it. It takes time to develop things. Not everything can be done in like 1 week. We've already released more stuff than was even on the roadmap. Like the nodes were not on the roadmap. That's like a totally random thing that we added in. It's like a bonus thing. But I guess the lending and borrowing thing will be the next big thing to come. In the meantime, we'll obviously work with partners to do like, I guess, cool partner pools, maybe some more Genesis pools coming up. So I guess in the meantime, there'll be more like a partner stuff where we work with partners to do something cool for both communities. But the next like actual functional thing for Grape will be the lending and borrowing. I'm not adding anything else in the meantime because we really want to focus on the lending and borrowing. Like if we add other things that we're going to develop, that's just going to delay the lending and borrowing, which is something I don't want to do at all. This is like the cornerstone of the product of Grape Finance is the lending and borrowing. So that needs to be worked out and fleshed out and developed properly. So that's something we're going to focus 100% on really in terms of the next functionality for the project. Obviously as well, we're going to add little, as I said, we're going to add little like, we're going to add a leaderboard that's already been in the works for the nodes creation every week, and a little like dashboard to show your potential earnings from the NFTs every month as well. So like little like feature updates like that will always be trickling out. But in terms of the major update for the protocol, it's sticking to the roadmap, which is already packed more than enough. Already have a lot of work to do. So that's a good, we're sticking with that. But in the meantime as well, working with different partners to do different like cool partner pools and like some Genesis pools, things like that, as always.
Yeah, I'm gonna add my own little question to that though, because by now, of course, we're all conversing with a whole lot of different protocols, people from different protocols, and everyone is kind of, making new stuff. Um, so sometimes there are these situations where there's actually someone else developing something new, and they're okay for other people to fork it. I mean, usually Grape Finance is at the head of that, so it's the other way around. Um, but that does happen that someone else creates something that we might just be able to copy. Is that something that we might then do, or will we just focus lending and borrowing
Well, it
and
depends how beneficial it is for Grape itself. Obviously, if it's obviously the lending and borrowing is the next big focus, and I think that will be very really beneficial for the platform. So that's something that we're going to focus 100% on. But I don't know if there's anything else that comes along that another protocol develops that we think may be beneficial as well. That is kind of also not too difficult to, I guess, fork, so to say. Then of course we'll and also beneficial for like it aligns with the goals of the protocol. That's kind of like the main thing.
yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, that's important. Like
yeah.
because it came. Um, we've talked about it earlier about people having ideas about gambling
Mm, yeah, yeah.
sort of ways, and we've already decided like that's not where we're gonna go. That's not our goal. So
Mm,
if
yeah,
for
yeah.
example, if a really cool gambling feature comes out, yeah, we're not gonna fork that. Um, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
if
mean
something
that's
comes
yeah.
out that's actually in line with us, then sure, right?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
thing you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of like what we did with the nodes, really.
Yeah.
Um, there was uh I mean EMP released those and I saw them they could be really good for Grape as well as a share node as well. And not too difficult to fork. And it worked really well for EMP as well. So um, you know, we added that in. We changed a little couple little things and added in, a compound feature and all that sort of stuff. But you know, that's technically an example of that.
Yeah.
Us actually doing that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Then we move on to Aaron. Aaron says, if I make an investment into the Grape Mim LP, what are the risks to the longevity and stability of the principal and APR? What if, God forbid, you get kidnapped in Egypt? Does the project have a big problem? That's actually two questions. Like, let's go to Oh, let me answer that last part. Um, if I do get kidnapped in Egypt in a touristic center, I'd be highly surprised. Let's say start there. Does the project then have a problem? Well, I guess they'd miss me. But all of the multi-sigs that I'm on, I am not the only one there, right? It doesn't. For example, any of the multi-sigs that I'm on, it doesn't require like 3 out of 3 people or 4 out of 4 people or whatever. It requires an amount of signatures. So everything can be done without me. So if I do get kidnapped and something horrible happens, then yeah, the protocol will just move on with the other people, I would say. Um, Anyway, if I make an investment to Grape LP, what are the risks to the longevity and stability of the principal and APR? That was their main question.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's the same risk as any LP, which is the tokens that you're adding to the LP, both Grape and Mim. They're just I mean, they're tokens. Mim is obviously more stable than Grape, because Grape is an algorithmic stable coin. It's not a collateralized stable coin, so it doesn't have a backing, so to say. But you've seen with Mim as well that the peg, it can lose peg due to, I guess some FUD, I guess some people not really liking, and I guess, whatever. So at the moment, Grape is, 1.7 peg, which is kind of high. Um, Obviously, the safest option would be you enter the LP at 1-to-1 so that you don't risk impermanent loss or high levels of impermanent loss. Whereas if you enter now, you have a chance of impermanent loss if Grape falls back down to $1. Uh, so there's one risk, but that's impermanent loss. That's the same risk that you have with literally any LP. Doesn't matter what, unless it's unless it's say like USDC, and I guess maybe DAI or whatever. But at the same time, you still run the risk of the company behind USDC, Circle, collapsing. You still run the risk of DAI losing its backing. There is a risk in everything in crypto. That's for sure. You don't. It's not possible for you to get a what is it now, like a 1.5% daily return without a risk behind that. That's just how it works. In terms of the longevity of the protocol, obviously I'm here literally every day. I've been here every day for the last sort of 3 months, and we'll be here every day going forward to continue to work on the protocol. We have a strong team behind us as well, and we also have a lot of things planned to add utility to these coins to keep them going, to keep their demand higher than their, I guess, supply increase, so that the price can remain stable. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of it, is for the price to remain stable. But at the moment, you have increased demand, therefore the price increases above the peg, which is good and bad. It means that you get rewards from the winery, but it also means that you have a higher chance of impermanent loss. But that's the risk you run when you're earning 1.5% a day. So that's how it goes, I guess. And if you're compounding the returns, they come out pretty ridiculous in terms of, if you look at Beefies or Yield Wolf returns compounded daily, it's pretty ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the risk to reward ratio, I think, turns out positive for almost any of us. Uh, at least for me, because I just genuinely feel that it's definitely worth it. Of course, there's always the chance, right, that you lose everything. That there is that chance, and it cannot be removed. But at the same time, like I'm living in the Eurozone, so my coin is euro usually when I'm not online.
Yeah, yeah.
And just
What was
have a
your
look.
inflation this year?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's too bad, but it's also not too good, right?
Mm,
Like the inflation is going as fast, is not if not faster than the increase in wages. So
mm,
essentially, everyone is just, getting a little bit poorer every year.
yeah.
And in a way, I would say you're also taking a risk by just staying in your fiat currency. Each of your currencies that you choose to have is a risk, whether that be your all the time safe euro, or whatever. Just look at what happened to Russia. I mean, it just
Mm.
them invading the Ukraine, and then all of a sudden their coin tanking. Like a whole lot of people were just there, minding their own business, and all of a sudden they had like 30% less money.
Yeah.
So um, I would say having it's just switching one risk for another, I would say. And
Mhm.
the thing is, look at it that way. It's not like a risk taking versus a non-risk taking. It's taking care like what risk reward do you have in each situation. Um, so yeah, that's just my take on it. Um, and then oh, Sam is interested in my position if I get kidnapped in Egypt. Uh, good, Sam. I'm glad that there's someone backing me up there. Um, and then the last question is Deparator. It says, oh, bro is also typing. Like, what? Yeah, sure, bro. At first I'll do Deparator, and then you can, then I'll give you the mic. Um, Deparator says, why not use Discord stages instead of using Zoom as an additional platform? Yeah.
I think I think it's audio only. Um, I, I mean, if we can do that, but I guess also I don't think they have inbuilt recording. We're gonna have to use like OBS or something like that, which is fine. But it's like, all right, well, Zoom is a platform that sure it's proprietary, whatever, but it's has everything embedded in the one system. Like it makes it easy for us where we can
Very.
record it. We
Yeah.
have the video if needed. Other people can show their video if allowed.
It
And
does a lot, right? Like I can just
yeah.
press record, like record this thing, and then it gets recorded. And I've also had it happen that I had to, remove someone from the chat in one of the AMAs, and then Zoom automatically made it so that those people weren't visible anymore, or whatever they showed what wasn't visible anymore. And that's just easy. Like, Zoom already made it a whole thing.
Mhm.
And I've also, I don't know if anyone has seen my interview with Dow King about Burr Finance, but that was horrible considering. I mean, the interview was really nice. I mean, I like the guy, but the if you look at the just the video aspect of it, like it was, I think it was 1 or 2 frames per minute,
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, and that was Discord. Like Discord is a beautiful center to meet other people and to get your chats in order. But if you really want to rely on it for your audio and your video and whatnot, I'd rather personally have a dedicated place for that, like Zoom. But that's just me, I guess. And you.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so bro, you can tell me how to pronounce that. I'll give you the mic. There you go. Welcome.
Yeah, sweet. How are we? Sorry, I've been away for a bit. I had a bit of army work with the floods in New South Wales.
Yeah,
Um,
right. How you going, man?
So yeah, that's why I've been a bit inactive. Basically, my question is, with the current rewards that are obviously for the NFT rewards, obviously only 10% of that is given as rewards, yeah. So
Yeah.
next month's rewards, that won't obviously include the current nodes, obviously, because their 10% has already been used. So then
Yeah.
you'll basically be working off the 10% of the new nodes that have been created for next month.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically going to be not active nodes, but it will be the ones that are created next month.
Oh, well, it will be at the moment it's active nodes.
Yeah.
So it's at the moment it's if you have a node that hasn't reached the max payout, then you are eligible. Or I guess if you mean for the nodes that are the nodes that the rewards that go to that node pool require nodes to be created in that month. I guess that's the question. I guess not for the reward pool, not to be eligible for the reward pool, but for the actual rewards to be generated for the reward pool do require nodes to be created in that month. Yeah, so at the moment in this month, there's quite a lot of rewards because we just launched the nodes, so obviously all of the nodes have been created in this month. So there's quite a lot of rewards which will go out this month, and then next month, we start again basically where all nodes created in that month go to the reward pool for that month.
Yeah, that makes sense. Easy. That was just a bit of math going on in my head that now makes sense. Easy. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Incidentally, I'm very happy that both you guys are Australian because I had some trouble getting around that accent, but we're fine amongst each other. Anyway, let's see. That kind of ends the question. Nobody else has a new one. And I think that's good because we've been going on for about 58 minutes. So it's a beautiful place to end this session. Yeah, so everyone, a hearty thank you for having been here because it's been there's been a lot of people here, and there've also been a lot of questions, good questions too, and thank you for just drop some alpha. Thank you for just being here with us and being our beautiful community and listening to us ramble on, I guess. Yeah, so that's my side. Stay nice to each other and then continue the education amongst each other. And yeah, maybe LB, if you do have some alpha to drop, as Saint suggests, then go for it. And if not, just say your goodbyes.
Well, I guess I'll let you know that we'll working with a partner for everybody loves Genesis pools with Grape. Something like that will be coming up soon. I guess a little bit of something fun on AVAX as well. And oh yeah, we'll be once our other partner on Phantom gets their bridge sorted, we'll do something with them as well. Should be soon as well with our tokens. Yeah, something cool.
Cool stuff coming. Awesome. So everyone, thank you, and until next time. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.